Greetings. Welcome to the KL Bar Moot Court Competition 2020. I am Oi Jia Liang, the Moot Director of this competition, and in this video, I will go through some of the key information pertaining to your role as a judge in this competition. On behalf of the organizing committee, let me begin by conveying our immense gratitude to all of you for agreeing to spend your weekend in taking up the role as a judge in this competition. We could not make this competition a success without your support. Dear judges, earlier we have sent you an email containing the moot problem, clarifications to the moot problem, the official regulations of this competition, and most importantly, the time slot of your rounds. In this email, other than this video, you will also find a judge's guide enclosed herein. Judges who are judging the preliminary rounds will also find the parties' written submissions enclosed together with a link for the score sheet of written submission in this email. I will be addressing on multiple issues, namely the setting of this competition, the technical aspects and the issues pertaining to the scoring and remarks of the participants in this competition. The setting of this competition. This competition is set at the level of the federal court, and you will be sitting as a federal court judge. Judges who are judging the preliminary rounds and the semi-final rounds will sit in a panel of 3, whereas 5 judges will preside over the final round in the afternoon on Sunday, 29th of November. As the panel of judges are sitting in the apex court, you will not be bound by any previous decision made by an earlier federal court. You are free to depart from such precedents, and you may overrule or reverse any such findings as you deem fit. Accordingly, the participant may, in the course of their submission, submit that a case precedent was wrongly decided by an earlier panel, and they may urge you to accept a persuasive precedent of another jurisdiction or a decision of the lower court in place of that earlier precedent. Technical aspects of this competition. There will be 4 orales in each round, 2 from the applicant and 2 from the respondents respectively. The lead counsel of the applicant will begin by submitting his or her oral submissions and followed by his or her co-counsel. Subsequently, the lead counsel for the respondent will begin his or her submissions and followed by his or her co-counsel. Upon the conclusion of the submission of the respondent's co-counsel, a counsel from the applicant will submit on rebuttals and followed by surrebuttals from a counsel of the respondent. The rebuttals and surrebuttals can be delivered by either the lead counsel or the co-counsel of each team. Timekeeping. Participants from both the applicant and the respondent are given a total of 25 minutes for them to deliver their oral submission. The participants are given liberty as to decide how are they going to apportion and utilize the 25 minutes allocated to them, save and except that each team may not allocate more than 5 minutes for rebuttals and surrebuttals. Judges are free to pose any questions to the participants during the course of their oral submission, and the time spent by the participants in answering the questions posed by the judges are counted towards the allocated time. Judges are not required to keep track of the remaining time of the participants, as our timekeepers will handle the same. Time cards indicating the remaining time of each team will be shown by our timekeepers during the competition. Our timekeepers will remind the court when the parties' time for submission have expired, where the participants may then make an oral application for extension of time. Upon hearing such application, judges may exercise your discretion to grant extension of time to the participant. However, in view of the time constraints and the tight schedule of the competition, we urge the judges not to grant anything above 5 minutes to the participants. We also advise the judges to inform the participants that the extension of time granted is only intended for parties to summarize and to conclude their oral submission, not to develop any further arguments on the same. We advise the judges not to grant any further extension of time upon the expiry of the extended time. The oral submission round will end after the respondent makes its submission on rebuttals. Judges will then be transferred into a holding room for deliberation. A member of the organizing committee will be present in the same holding room with you to address any issues or questions that you may have during deliberations. Judges will then be required to give scores according to the performance of the participants. The scores will be recorded through Google Form, where you will insert the scores according to the components of evaluation based on the performance of the participants accordingly. The link to the score sheet of oral submissions will be sent to you in the days closer to the competition. Judges in the preliminary rounds will also be required to give scores to the parties' written submissions. The score sheet for the written submission is also recorded through Google Form, and you will find the link enclosed herein. Kindly insert the scores according to the components of evaluations accordingly. Upon confirmation by the committee that the scores have been recorded, we will transfer the judges back to the moot court, where judges will now deliver their comments on the performance of the participants. Judges are not required to decide the case. That means you will not be required to announce whether you will allow or dismiss the appeal. Judges are also not required to announce who is the winner of the round or who is the best oralist of that round. After that, our judges will our bailiffs will then invite the judges to take a photo with the participants on screen. The round will come to an end after the photography session, and you may leave the meeting accordingly. We seek your kind cooperation to join your meeting at least 15 minutes before the scheduled time for the final screen, voice, and sound check. The judge's guide enclosed in this email contains a detailed guide on the installation of Zoom application on your gadget, and also on the guide to join this meeting. Should you require any further clarification on the guide, please do not hesitate to drop an email to us and we will respond accordingly. Thank you for viewing the guide, and thank you for seeing this video. We will see you virtually in the competition.